everybody. We're back. It took a long break again. Who was brave is the title of this week's story, and it's also the question. So as you turn the page, I need you to listen carefully today, and you might spot who was brave. Now, David's on the run from King Saul. I think we all remember that. But he's not alone like this guy running away. Nope. Several young men were with him. Now, David came to Nod, where a priest lived.
I know what David was running.
He was running. That's right. Good job. He was. Now, the priest was frightened when he saw David, and he said, "Why are you alone?" Now, I don't know why he asked David if he was alone, because later they talk about the young men that are with him. So perhaps David left the young men hiding out in the bushes or something, and he came to see the priest alone. Or maybe the priest meant that David wasn't with King Saul, and he wanted to know why he wasn't with King Saul. I don't know. But we turn the page again. I do know that David told the priest another lie. That's a bit sad, really, how many lies David's told now. David said he was on an urgent mission for King Saul. They needed 5 loaves of bread, or whatever the priest had. But the priest only had the special bread called showbread. It looks a little bit like the one that's up there. Normal people were not allowed to eat showbread. This was only for the priest, a very special bread. And David was really, really hungry, and he needed food. So the priest said that they could have it, because he's like, well, you're King Saul's special servant, so I guess maybe you can have it. Yes, you can get it. Now, David asked if the priest had any swords or spears, because, well, he's going to need some weapons to defend himself with King Saul out to kill him, isn't he?
Well, I want to have a shield and a spear.
You'd want to.
I'm using a spear.
You might want to have a shield. Well, yeah, because he does throw a spear a bit, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, well, David asked for a sword or a spear, not for a shield. Just the sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom thou slew. Here it is, wrapped in a cloth. Take it, for there is none other save that here, said the priest. And David said, there is none like that. Give it to me. And there certainly was another sword like Goliath. Was there? It was a huge sword. Do you remember how big it was?
Yeah.
It was a big sword. So David left for fear of King Saul. He ran away. Now, that doesn't sound very brave, does it?
Yep. No.
But there was someone there watching. His name was Doeg, and he was the chief herdman for King Saul. That means he was like the boss of all the cattlemen and the shepherds. Now, Doeg didn't say anything at first. Not that day. He was quiet. Time passed, and people started to flock to David. Anyone that was in trouble or had debts or was not content, even David's family came to be with him. And King Saul was in Gibeah, spear in hand. No kidding. That is actually what the Bible says. It says that King Saul was under a tree in Gibeah with a spear in his hand, and all of his servants were around him. Here now, King Saul said, will the son of Jesse give you all fields and vineyards and make you captains of thousands and hundreds? Is that why you have conspired against me? Not a one of you told me that my own son Jonathan has taken David's side. Does no one feel sorry for me that David lies in wait to kill me? Sounds a bit like King Saul is having a bit of a pity party, trying to bribe his servants and make them feel guilty. Well, Doeg was there again, and he said, the priest of Nod helped David. He gave him food and Goliath's sword. King Saul, unsurprisingly, flew into a rage. He demanded that the priest and all the priest's family be brought to him. And when the priest heard how mad King Saul was, he said, bless you, David was your faithful servant, and he's your son-in-law. How was I supposed to know he'd turned against you. Please don't blame me or my father's house because we didn't know. Now King Saul, he didn't accept their apology. King Saul turned to the footmen and said, kill them all. But the servants, that's right, the servants of King Saul said no. They would not kill God's priests. But Doeg was still there. And King Saul turned to Doeg and told him to kill everyone. And Doeg did. All the priests there. And then Doeg went back to Nod. Remember the city of Nod, where David had went to? He killed all the men and the women and the children and all the animals there at Nod. All except one. That was very mean, wasn't it? It was. All except one. One of the priest's sons managed to run away and he went and hid with David.
Yeah, good job.
One man away, yeah. It was a bit of a sad story today, wasn't it? But do you know who was brave? Did you guess?
The priest.
The priests. Now, see, that's a group I didn't even list. I had two other groups. But the priests were brave a little bit when they helped David, weren't they? Now, we turn the page. There were actually two groups of people who were brave. And we'll turn the page again. The young men who went with David were brave. King Saul wanted to kill David. Now, that's scary. But the young men, they stayed with David. And that was very brave. Now, the next one was the men who said no to killing the priests. Now, here we go. We're going to get uncomfortable. Aren't we supposed to? You ready? You spell it O-B. You're not ready. Let's start again. Jamie fell a little bit. You fell a little bit. You got a little bit too rushed. Are you ready to sing? Oh, yeah. Okay. Blake and I'll sing. You spell it O-B-E-D-I-E-N-C-E. Obedience is the very best way to show that you believe. You spell it O-B-E-D-I-E-N-C-E. Obedience is the very best way to show that you believe. Now, normally we're supposed to obey when someone tells us what to do, but should we obey when someone tells us to do something that's wrong? No, that's right. We should not obey if they tell us to do something wrong. Now, it's easy enough right now to say that killing the men of God was wrong. Shouldn't do that. But you need to remember something. Saul was two kinds of mad. He was so angry mad that he went a bit crazy mad, didn't he? He was always throwing spears and getting mad. And he was standing there with a spear in his hand. A spear he'd already thrown at his own son, Jonathan. But all of his servants, when he was standing there with a spear in his hand, they still said, no, we will not kill the priests. Now that had to be a bit scary, wouldn't it? To tell the king no, even though he's standing there with a spear. He might throw it at you. To know to do the right thing is good. But being afraid you might get hurt if you do the right thing, that's hard. It's hard to be brave when you know you might get hurt. Turn the page again. Now, if a bully says to you, go hit the fire alarm and make everyone run out of school.
No.
Is that the right thing to do?
No.
No. But what if the bully says, I'll beat you up if you don't? Maybe not today, but I'll be watching every day. And one day you're going to be alone and I'll beat you up.
No.
Saying no, that's right. Saying no is still the right thing to do, but it's going to be scary and you'll need to be brave.
Yeah, I'm going to punch you.
Now turn the page again. But that wasn't all King Saul did. He was standing there with his spear, making them all scared, but he also offered a bribe. He said, I'll give you land and gifts and make you important in the army.
No.
Essentially,
No.
King Saul was saying, I'm going to make you rich and famous.
No.
Now, turn the page. The right thing to do is still to say no. But sometimes people, even our own friends, will offer us something that we really, really, really want. Now, I want you to picture this. This one's hard. Yeah, we'll get another song soon. You're at a play center, and the lady on the PA system says that everyone with an orange wristband has to leave the playground now. You have an orange wristband, and you really want to stay, but you know the right thing to do is to obey the lady. So you start to leave. On the page again. But while you're leaving, all your friends come running past you yelling, we've got 5 more minutes. Now what do? You really want to play for 5 more minutes. But what did the lady say to do?
To get off.
Yes, now.
The lady said to get off now. That's right. When you aren't there, you might know that the right thing to do is to obey the lady and get off the playground because she's the boss of the place. But when all your friends are running off to play and you really, really, really want to play, it's hard to be brave. It's hard to say, no, I'm going to obey the lady. Now turn the page again. Now the servants of King Saul were brave today. They said no to killing the priests. But they weren't as brave as they could have been. Do you know what brave thing even braver thing that they could have done?
Stand up to the king.
They could have stood up to the king. Yep. How could they stand up to the king? What could they have done?
You told him it was wrong.
They could have told him it was wrong. Yep. They could have also stopped Doag, but they didn't. They didn't stop Doag from killing the priests. They were brave for themselves, but they were not brave for someone else. The bravest thing you can do is to say no for yourself and to try to help your friends do the right thing too. So let's go back to the play center. All your friends are running off to play for 5 more minutes. You know you ought to go and to be brave and to not play. If you try to stop your friends from playing, that's even braver because they might not want to listen. And they might pick on you a bit if you say, no, the lady didn't say that we had 5 more minutes. The lady said, leave now. The best and bravest thing you can do is to try to help your friends to obey the right thing too. Now, don't forget, even if you have to be brave alone, be brave and do the right thing. So if your friends won't listen and they keep playing, don't join your friends. Leave. Do the right thing even if they won't listen. You leave. Now, there was one more thing. King Saul did 3 things to try to get his servants to do wrong. He bribed them with special stuff. He threatened them as if he was going to kill them. And do you know what the last one was? Where am I on my picture? Here I am. Do you know what the last one was? Anybody remember?
Kill the priest.
Yep, to kill the priest. The last thing he tried to do to get them to be bad was he tried to make them feel guilty. He said, nobody likes me. Nobody cares. Do you know what that sounds like if your friend is trying to make you feel guilty so you'll do something bad? Well, let's hear. This is what it might sound like. If you were really my friend, you'd do this. Sometimes our friends do that when they try to make us feel guilty. So we'll do something bad with them. If you were really my friend, you'd do this. I'm going to turn the page. That's a lie. That's not true. Turn the page again. A good and true friend does the right thing always. The best friend ever, the bestest friend, helps you do the right thing too. Now, so when your friends tell you you ought to, you remember this bit, James?
Yeah.
When they tell you that you ought to, OBEDIENCE, I want you to stop and think, is this the right thing to do? Don't just obey when people tell you what to do. I want you to stop. Stop and think, is it right? Now, the best kind of brave says, no, I won't let you pick on the little kid at school, and I won't let anyone else pick on them either. That's the best brave. No, I won't pick on them, and I won't let you pick on them either. That's the best brave you can be. Now we're to our Bible verse. It says, honor all men, love the brotherhood, fear God, honor the king. 1 Peter 2:17. Now that's a lot of things to remember, isn't it? But if you remember to do these things, it will help you live a good life, a life that makes God pleased and happy. Honor all men, fear the brotherhood, fear God, honor the king. 1 Peter 2:17. Thank you for listening this week. We'll see you next time. Bye.